Farhan, great to see you. Quinn Hughes, let's talk Quinn Hughes. This is wild. Mike Sullivan starts the day by saying he's on his way to Boston. Then we see Quinn show up at Canucks practice in Vancouver later that afternoon. Can you make some sense of this entire situation?
Well, it's really hard to make some sense of it because when you look at Quinn Hughes, I think he very much wants to play in this tournament, even if it is in just one game, the biggest game of them all. But not only did Quinn Hughes skate on Tuesday, he's expected to skate with the Canucks again here in Vancouver on Wednesday. So a decision has not been made yet about whether or not they're going to play Thursday. And I know that there were a number of people, myself included, who really thought when we heard Mike Sullivan's comments this morning that it would be a nudge, nudge, wink, wink type of deal, that someone's going to get sick and Quinn Hughes is going to be on a plane. But I don't think that the league necessarily wants to do that. I think they really want to be legitimate with this process and make sure that they try to follow some rules here, and that if there is an absolute need, that, yeah, they'll consider it. I know that I don't think Hughes wants to go out there if there's not a real chance of him playing. He didn't close the door on that when he talked to the media, but I think everybody understands that if you're going to bring him out there, there's got to be a high probability that he's going to play. So stay tuned. We don't know yet, and we're not going to know until after he takes to the ice tomorrow here in Vancouver.
All right, so we will continue to follow that situation. The team also announced on Tuesday that Thatcher Demko, once again injured, will not join the team on that 5-game road trip, Farhan. We know that he started and played in the Canucks last game before the break, but left that game. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on with the Canucks star goaltender?
Well, the Canucks have very much made it clear it is not the knee. They have said this repeatedly through team spokespeople, other management people, quietly to the right reporters. They want everyone to know the popliteus muscle injury around his knee that kept him out for most of the season is not part of the problem. Now, he did miss some time in recent weeks because of a back injury, but they're calling this a lower body injury. So theoretically, it's not the back. Now, week to week is what they're saying. My understanding is there is a real chance that after the road trip, he will rejoin the team, so it could become somewhere around a 3-week injury. In the meantime, Kevin Lankinen, who played against Canada at the Four Nations, will get the start. He and Elias Pettersson will join the Canucks on Friday in Vegas for their game on Saturday. Artur Shilovs is also practicing with the team right now. Now, Shilovs really did struggle. He had that great playoff last year, struggled when he played for the big club this year. He's kind of found his game in the American League with Abbotsford, and he's going to have to play because they have got 2 sets of back-to-backs on this 5-game road trip, so they're going to need more than one goaltender.
And then there's Elias Pettersson. So much to discuss here, and so much talk about his last game at the Four Nations face-off. Sweden win over the U.S. on Monday. He played the least amount of time for any forward on Team Sweden. Didn't produce points in the tournament. What does that mean for him? What does that mean for the Canucks as they continue to make a playoff push here?
Well, I think it's disappointing for all involved, and I think for the Canucks, it's still going to keep the questions out there. Many people felt that this might be a bit of a reset for him, and because it really continued to plummet as the tournament went, that, he was a top 6 center, then he eventually became a winger on the 4th line, and then didn't even get to play in the final 15 minutes when they needed a goal in that game. He's not gotten any better. And when you look at his skating, that really has been the biggest problem. And it's now brought up the injury conversation again, that, this is a guy that dealt with a knee injury. Some just called it tendonitis, whatever it may have been. He admitted that affected his training in the offseason. His conditioning when he came to camp was very poor. And when you just look at it, I think the skating is the biggest challenge. So if you're the Canucks, what do? You got rid of JT Miller. You thought that would spark Pettersson. It hasn't. The trade deadline is coming in a few weeks. So do you revisit that conversation, or do you wait until the draft, or do you wait another year and hope that with a proper offseason of training, he can get his game back? But the questions are there. The Four Nations did nothing to answer any of them.
There was a little bit of good news for the Canucks on Tuesday. They did sign newly acquired Drew O'Connor to a 2-year deal, $2.5 million on the AAV. The Canucks will be back in action Saturday in Las Vegas against the Golden Knights. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the esteemed Farhan Lalji.